Good evening, I'm Cynthia Ng. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight. Masjid Tanah MP Datuk Mas Emriati Samsudin has been appointed as chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee PAC. This makes her the second woman elected to the post, with the first being Parit Sulong MP Datuk Sri Nur Aini Ahmad. Mas Emriati will replace Wong Kah-Wah, who chaired the PAC since August 2020. Meanwhile, Kluang MP Wong Shu Chi was made deputy chairperson of the committee. The PAC is a select committee formed to examine and monitor the country's financial affairs to ensure transparency of its management and administration. In January, the Pakatan Harapan Presidential Council agreed to continue the policy of awarding the PAC chairperson's post to a representative from the opposition. The move was said to allow for check and balance for the government. The newly appointed chairperson and deputy of the PAC are calling for greater transparency in the committee's proceedings. In a joint statement today, Mas Emriati and Wong Shu Chi urged Dewan Rakyat Speaker Datuk Johari Abdul to propose an amendment to the current standing orders to allow the committee's proceedings to be held openly. Currently, the proceedings are held behind closed doors. Mas Emriati and Wong believe that the committee's proceedings should be open to the public and conducted in a transparent and accountable manner in line with the government's reform agenda. As part of their first official duties, they will be visiting the Bousted Heavy Industries Dockyard in Lumut to investigate the Littoral Combat Ship LCS issue. The multi-billion ringgit project came under public scrutiny last year when the PAC revealed that Bousted Naval Shipyard was building 6 ships based on a design that was not requested by the Navy. Law and Institutional Reform Minister Datuk Sri Azalina Othman Said has proposed a moratorium on the enforcement of Section 309 of the Penal Code for attempted suicide until full decriminalization takes place. This move is part of 4 policies under the federal government's move to decriminalize the offence. The proposed moratorium aims to end stigmatization against suicide and encourage help-seeking without fear of legal consequences. Azalina stated that attempted suicide often results from mental incapacity or psychiatric disorder, falling within the scope of suicidal behavior. Currently, Section 309 of the Penal Code states that a person attempting to commit suicide faces imprisonment of up to 1 year, a fine, or both. The bills to decriminalize suicide was tabled for the first reading at Dewan Rakyat today. The second reading is scheduled for the May Parliament sitting. A total of 12,800 contract doctors will be absorbed into permanent positions within the next 3 years, says Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Under Budget 2023, he says the government has allocated 19.7 billion ringgit in emolument, a 3 billion ringgit increase from previous years.
Daripada 3 bilion ringgit penambahan emolument itu, termasuklah 1.2 bilion kenaikan gaji tahunan. Peruntukan tambahan untuk keperluan pegawai kontrak 600 juta dan pelantikan kejawatan tetap yang diserap daripada pegawai kontrak 1.1 bilion. Jadi untuk 2023 tambahan kerana doktor kontrak dan juga penyerapan menjadi pegawai tetap itu 1.7 bilion ringgit.
Anwar said some 4,300 contract doctors have been offered permanent positions this year alone. He also announced that on-call allowance will be extended to medical officers who are stationed in public health clinics and involved in the Health Ministry's initiative to reduce overcrowding at hospital emergency departments. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has apologized for the delay in tabling of the Tobacco Products and Smoking Control Bill, as there have been requests by MPs to review certain provisions in the bill. Anwar gave his assurance that the bill will be tabled in the next Dewan Rakyat sitting beginning May.
Pada prinsipnya kita akan terus membentang undang-undang ini Tapi tidak boleh lakukan kerana pada peringkat awal yang berhormat kita setuju disekalikan ya, tentang undang-undang ini dan juga tentang cukai vape. Tetapi oleh kerana banyak bantahan, maka kita telah mencadangkan supaya Menteri Kesihatan runding semula dengan ahli-ahli Parlimen dan secara teliti dan dengan semua badan-badan kesihatan dengan maksud melaksanakan, maknanya bukan untuk melengahkan, untuk melaksanakan pada tahun ini juga insya-Allah.
Anwar added that the Customs Department will continue to control the distribution of vape liquids containing nicotine. The government last Friday removed liquid and gel nicotine as controlled substance under the Poisons Act 1952 as part of a move to tax its use in e-cigarettes and vape. The move received several backlash from MPs and the health community. They said the decision can bring more harm than good if done without proper regulations under the Tobacco Control Act. Instead of banning vaping and e-cigarettes outright, the government has opted to tax these nicotine-laced products to stop them from becoming widespread and cheap. Astro Muhammad Khalid, CEO of the Gallant Centre, discusses the implications of the move to declassify liquid nicotine as a controlled substance.
The problem is that by removing liquid and gel nicotine from the Poisons Act schedule of controlled substances, it overcomes a problem for taxation, which is that before this it wasn't easy to tax, now it is, but it creates another problem, which is a massive vacuum, because where previously there was an ability to prevent gel and liquid nicotine from being used widely, now there are no obstacles, there are no regulations or laws or anything to control vape and e-cigarettes. Normally, the best way to deal with policy problem is that you develop the regulations or legislation first and then tax. The problem here is that by dropping the classification prematurely means that there is absolutely no regulations or legislation controlling or regulating the manufacturing, distribution, promotion, and sales of vape and e-cigarettes. That is the impact that we're seeing. And right now, the real world implications, interesting, you can collect tax from these products, but kids, children, and teenagers can also buy vape, nicotine, e-cigarettes, and vape. So, you know, it just doesn't sound right, right?
Astro also highlights an emerging public health crisis among young people who are becoming increasingly addicted to vaping and nicotine.
The Ministry of Health's own survey found that at least 600,000 children between 11 and 18 years of age have taken up vaping. And that's really worrying. And there's been this claim that if you vape, you can quit smoking. Now, we find that actually the reverse is becoming true, which is that rather than quitting smoking, we see more and more vape users who are also dual users. They smoke and vape. And these are the guys who are going to quit smoking clinics, and they are increasingly younger, female, and having a difficult time dealing with their addiction. So, you know, we are seeing an emerging crisis here, and it's important that if the government wants to maintain its position on this issue of nicotine vape and e-cigarettes, that it makes it a priority to pass this critical piece of legislation in order for us to be able to protect not only the children, but also the future generation against both cigarettes, tobacco products, as well as vape and e-cigarettes. You know, we have heard the commitment to have this tabled in May. Now, I'm happy to hear that. I'm glad that we've put a deadline as to when we want this to happen. But the question is that we need to address the issue of the lack of political will that were obstacles the last time this was tabled. So, we need to be able to address that and to be realistic about it as well. Because to be honest, May is just like a month or so away, and I don't see yet the political will to agree on making the tough decision to pass this bill. And we need to make sure our MPs do that.
We will go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Perlukan penyelesaian semalaman untuk kulit cantik? Baharu, Vaseline Glutathione Overnight Radiance Repair dengan kepekatan 10 masker muka. Bangun pagi dengan kulit terhidrat, berseri dan anjal. Vaseline Baharu.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump is set to appear in court in New York in a matter of hours, where he will be formally charged. The Republican presidential nominee is indicted over a case involving hush money payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels in 2016. Trump has denied any wrongdoing and is expected to plead not guilty. He will turn himself in amid tight security in the city. Police have set up barricades near Trump Tower, where he arrived on Monday after flying in from Florida, and the Manhattan Criminal Court building where demonstrations are expected. Trump's arraignment is scheduled for 2:15 p.m. local time. He is expected to return to Florida to address his supporters after. This marks the first time a sitting or former U.S. president will face criminal charges. The Australian government has announced that it will remove TikTok from all federal government-owned devices due to security concerns. Now, this makes Australia the latest US allied country to take action against the Chinese-owned app. Officials are worried that the Beijing-based company owned by ByteDance could use users' data to advance China's political agenda, which could harm Western security interests. This move risks renewing diplomatic tensions between Australia and China, which have somewhat eased since the Labour government, led by Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, came into power in May. Attorney General Mark Dreyfus said in a statement that the ban will take effect as soon as possible. Exemptions will only be granted on a case-by-case basis and with appropriate security measures in place. With this ban, Australia has joined other members of the Five Eyes intelligence sharing network, including Canada, the United States, Britain and New Zealand, in banning the app from government devices. France, Belgium and the European Commission have also announced similar bans. In the Netherlands, a passenger train derailed in the western part of the country, leaving at least one person dead and 30 others injured. According to authorities, the train was carrying approximately 50 passengers when it crashed into construction equipment between The Hague and Leiden City at around 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday. A cargo train was also damaged in the collision. Pictures from the accident site showed overturned carriages and smoke rising into the sky. There's no word yet on what caused the crash, but officials are continuing their investigations into the incident. A massive fire broke out this morning at a popular clothing market in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Hundreds of firefighters battled the blaze that engulfed the Bongo Bazaar, which houses almost 3,000 shops. Most of the shops were destroyed, but no casualties have been reported so far. Army personnel were called in to help after flames spread rapidly in the cramped and crowded market. Tensions also ran high as a group of shop owners, who grew frustrated with the time it took to bring the fire under control, started hurling rocks at firefighters. They had stocked up clothes in preparation for the Eid al-Fitr celebration, and most of their goods were destroyed in the fire. It took over 600 firefighters more than 6 hours to finally bring the blaze under control. The Bongo Bazaar, built mainly from timber and tin, had been designated as a fire risk in 2019 and had received multiple warning letters since then. That wraps up Awani Tonight. I am Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.